The Wilson family was excited about their weekend adventure at a local yard sale. Among the old furniture and dusty trinkets, a peculiar antique doll caught their eye. It sat quietly on a faded shelf, a porcelain figure with cracked skin, glassy eyes, and a faded blue dress. The elderly seller mentioned it was special, but said little else. Unaware of the doll's dark past, the Wilsons decided to bring it home, thinking it would make a charming addition to their daughter's collection. That night, after the house settled into silence, strange noises began. Faint creaks echoed through the hallway, and the soft patter of tiny footsteps seemed to come from the living room. At first, they brushed it off as the house settling. But soon, the unsettling feelings grew. Doors whispered shut, and shadows flickered just beyond the edge of sight. The doll, now sitting on a shelf near the window, seemed to catch the light in a way that made its eyes glimmer unnervingly. Determined to find answers, the family set up a hidden camera in the living room, focused on the shelf where the doll rested. The next morning, they gathered around the monitor, hearts pounding with a mixture of curiosity and fear. The footage revealed something impossible. The doll's head slowly turned, its glass eyes seemingly fixed on the empty room. At one point, its tiny hand twitched as if reaching for something unseen. Day after day, the family captured more eerie movements. The doll shifted positions, appeared to watch their every move, and sometimes, a faint smile seemed to creep across its cracked porcelain lips. Unease settled over the Wilsons. Was the doll alive? Was it watching them? Or was it something far more sinister? They debated fiercely, should they keep the doll or get rid of it? Yet, just as the decision was made, strange events escalated. Late-night knocks, chilling whispers, and cold drafts seemed to follow the doll's presence. The house no longer felt like a home but a stage for something beyond their control. With every shadow and every creak, the Wilson family faced a growing question: had they brought something evil inside their doors? The doll's silent watch continued, leaving them trapped between fear and the unknown. After the unsettling events caught on camera, the Wilson family found themselves unable to look away. Night after night, they gathered in the dimly lit living room to review the footage, frame by frame, searching for answers hidden in the shadows. At first, the movements were almost imperceptible. The doll's head barely shifted, a subtle tilt here, a slight turn there. But as they slowed the playback, their unease deepened. The porcelain fingers twitched, as if itching to reach out. And then, impossibly, the doll's glassy eyes blinked once, twice, sending a cold shiver down everyone's spines. Their curiosity turned to dread. What was this doll trying to do? Was it alive? Or something worse? One night, just as the clock struck midnight, the family set their cameras to capture every angle, hoping to catch the doll in the act of whatever it was planning. The footage that emerged was chilling. The camera focused on a dusty wooden table near the doll's shelf. Slowly, the doll's hand moved, almost unnaturally fluid, and began to scratch symbols into the thick layer of dust. Strange shapes, looping lines, and cryptic signs appeared, glowing faintly under the camera's night vision. Desperate for answers, the Wilsons contacted a local paranormal expert, a woman known for her work deciphering haunted messages and cursed artifacts. She arrived with her equipment, and after hours of study, she uncovered a terrifying truth. The symbols were a message from the doll's original owner, a tormented soul who had suffered a tragic fate decades ago. The expert explained that the doll was a vessel, a bridge between worlds, trying to communicate a warning, a plea to free it from the darkness that bound it. As the expert traced the message, the atmosphere grew heavy with unseen forces. The doll's eyes seemed to follow her every move, its porcelain lips curling into an eerie, knowing smile. The Wilson family realized then that this was no ordinary doll. It was trying to speak, to tell them something sinister. But what? And would they be able to understand it before it was too late? With the secret message uncovered, the terror only deepened. The whispers in the night weren't random anymore. They were words. Words from the past. Words from something that refused to stay silent. After the chilling discovery of the doll's secret message, the Wilson family knew they had to take drastic measures. They locked the doll inside a sturdy glass case, hoping to trap whatever dark force animated it. The case sat in the living room, cold, sealed, and supposedly secure. But the eerie feeling never left the house. That very night, strange things began to happen. The old wooden floors creaked and groaned as if someone was pacing just out of sight. Lights flickered erratically, casting ghostly shadows that danced on the walls. Doors that had been firmly closed were found slightly ajar in the mornings. The family soon noticed something far more disturbing: the doll was no longer inside its glass prison. Security footage revealed something impossible. Despite the locked case, the doll's tiny porcelain fingers could be seen pressing against the glass, tapping and scratching as if trying to break free. On several clips, the doll's head slowly turned towards the camera, its glass eyes gleaming with unnatural awareness. In the days that followed, the doll appeared in different rooms around the house, always in the morning, as if it had been on a secret midnight journey. The Wilsons found it sitting on the kitchen counter, lying on a bedroom pillow, even standing at the top of the staircase, frozen in eerie stillness. Realizing the danger was escalating, the family installed multiple cameras throughout the house, covering every hallway, corner, and room. They hoped to catch the doll in the act and understand its intentions. Then came the night no one would forget. The cameras caught the doll crawling down from its shelf, a slow, deliberate movement that no ordinary object could make. It moved on all fours, porcelain knees scraping against the floor, inching closer and closer toward the bedrooms. The family huddled together, watching the live feed with growing horror. The doll's eyes locked onto the camera, then seemed to shift direction, as if tracking something, or someone, in the dark house. At the last moment, the footage showed the doll just outside the master bedroom door, its tiny hand reaching for the handle. The door creaked open slowly, and the screen cut to static. The Wilsons gasped. Their nightmare had gone from unsettling to terrifying. No one dared to move. They knew this was more than just a haunted doll, it had a plan. And that plan was to escape, to break free from the glass prison, and to confront them in the dead of night. The question lingered in the cold air: what would happen if it succeeded? The Wilson family's home had become a battleground between the living and something far darker. Desperate for answers, they reached out to a renowned paranormal expert, Dr. Evelyn Harper, known for her knowledge of cursed objects and haunted artifacts. When she arrived, her face was grave as she approached the glass case containing the doll, now infamous for its terrifying movements and sinister aura. Dr. Harper carefully examined the porcelain figure, running gloved fingers over the cracked skin and faded blue dress. She traced the patterns etched in dust and scrutinized every inch of its eerie eyes. Then, with a somber tone, she began to unravel the doll's history. The doll was no ordinary antique. It was once owned by a grieving mother named Margaret Sinclair, who had lost her young daughter in a tragic accident nearly a century ago. Margaret had poured her heartbreak into the doll, which she believed held her daughter's spirit. But grief turned to obsession, and strange occurrences plagued the Sinclair household: whispers in the night, objects moving on their own, and a chilling presence that refused to leave. Margaret herself disappeared mysteriously, leaving the doll behind. It passed through several owners over the decades, each plagued by similar terrifying events. Dr. Harper revealed that the doll was believed to be possessed by the restless spirit of Margaret's daughter, trapped between worlds, bound by sorrow and anger. The family watched as Dr. Harper pulled out old, grainy footage from previous owners. The clips showed the doll turning its head, blinking, and moving on its own, eerily similar to what the Wilsons had experienced. In one video, a terrified woman screamed as the doll crawled across her bedroom floor, just like the footage from the Wilson home. The more Dr. Harper shared, the clearer it became why the doll was so restless. The spirit inside was trapped, unable to find peace. Its movements, its whispers, its midnight writing, they were cries for help, or warnings. The doll was a vessel of unresolved pain and darkness, a spirit bound to the object that once meant love but now meant terror. As the expert finished, the room felt colder, heavier. The doll sat silently behind the glass, its eyes glinting with a mix of sorrow and menace. The Wilson family understood then, they were not just dealing with a haunted toy, but with a tragic soul desperate to be heard. And that soul was far from at rest. The Wilson family had reached their breaking point. The haunted doll had terrorized their home for weeks, and now, desperate for peace, they called in a spiritual medium named Clara, a woman known for her courage in confronting restless spirits. Clara arrived with a quiet confidence, carrying sacred tools and ancient texts, ready to perform a cleansing ritual that could either free the trapped soul or unleash something far worse. The family gathered in the living room, dimly lit and heavy with tension. Cameras were set up everywhere, capturing every moment, every flicker of light, every whisper in the shadows. The doll sat inside its glass case, motionless but ominous, as Clara began the ritual. As she chanted prayers and burned incense, the temperature in the room dropped suddenly. A chilling cold seeped through the walls, wrapping around the family like an unseen hand. The flickering candles cast long, dancing shadows, and the atmosphere thickened with an eerie energy. Suddenly, objects began to move on their own, books flew from shelves, pictures swung wildly on the walls, and the glass case trembled. The cameras captured the doll's face contorting, porcelain features twisting into horrifying expressions of rage and pain. Its eyes flashed with unnatural light as it seemed to fight the ritual fiercely. Clara's voice rose, steady and commanding, calling upon ancient spirits to release the trapped soul. The doll thrashed violently, knocking over the glass case, sending shards scattering across the floor. The family watched, frozen in terror, as the battle between the medium and the dark force unfolded before them. Minutes stretched like hours. Then, with a final, piercing cry, the doll went still. The cold lifted, the room grew quiet, and Clara opened her eyes, exhausted but hopeful. She declared the ritual a success, the spirit was freed. But as the family breathed a sigh of relief, the cameras revealed one last chilling detail: the doll's eyes blinked slowly, deliberately, as if awakening once again. The screen faded to black, leaving viewers questioning, had the spirit truly been released, or was this just the calm before the next storm? Was the doll gone, or merely waiting for the right moment to move again? The terror was not over. It had only just begun.